What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Playbook. A little 2-week hiatus here, but the usual suspects join us here at the desk this morning. Colin Cimino. I'm your host, Aiden Schoeff, alongside with the man and Coach Styler. The Dogs coming off a win against Glenbard South at Glenbard South. 21-17, a little bit different from the usual score differential, which we'll talk about in a bit. Just scraped away this win. Bubba Novak had 241 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, with 2 interceptions this game. Caputo got it going on the ground game as well through the air, 19 rushing yards and 59 reception yards. Karras and DeJesus, the two speedy guys in that wide receiver room, 3 receptions for 69 yards and a touchdown for Karras, and DeJesus with 3 receptions for 98 yards and a pair of touchdowns. So, Coach, we'll start it off here. This is, like I said, the closest point differential of the season so far, and you guys are still undefeated. How do you handle the pressure as coaches, to make sure that these guys don't fold and stay sharp under pressure?
Oh, I mean, Friday night, that was all the guys, man. We were down, 17-7 with about 4.5 left in the game. And, it came down to our guys. I think they came up in huge spots. Offense, didn't have the greatest night in the first half, but they responded when we needed them to, right? Like, they came out, especially when, game on the line, we got to get a touchdown here. They did it. Special teams came up big when we needed them to, recovering that outside kick. And then, offense struck right back, right? So, and then defense all night, man. Like, they never wavered. Didn't matter what point in the game. They came out fast. They came out strong, came out screaming physical. And they carried that all the way through, right? Glenbard South was trying to march on the field, and we needed to come up with a big stop. Came up with a huge 4th and 2 stop to, seal the game. So that's all the guys, man. The coaches, we know we got to do our job, but it all is going to fall on the players. And, they kept their composure. Our leaders kept their composure. So it was a phenomenal all-around team win, man. I can't say enough great things about what they did Friday night.
Yeah, Bulldogs remain undefeated here, sitting at 6-0. What did you see from Braden Novak last Friday that made you trust him even more after seeing, him pull away from that win? And, getting in the end zone when it mattered there.
Composure, man. Yeah. Composure. That's what you want out of your quarterbacks, right? Like, when, game's on the line, are they going to be able to step up and deliver? And he did, man. He came out huge there at the end. Right when we need him to. Those strikes that he threw for those touchdowns were dots, man. Yeah. He kept his, foot on the gas the entire time, right? A couple of interceptions throughout the game. But it takes a special kind of kid to be able to stay in that pocket and continue to deliver those throws. It takes a special kind of kid to continue to lead his team the way that he did. Bubs had a great season so far. Yeah. And I think, the sky's the limit for the kid, and we're going to keep, rolling with our guys and making sure that they're put in great positions to be successful, and just very proud of the whole team from Friday night.
So you talked about it a little bit already. You guys were down 10 points in the final quarter with only a couple minutes to play. What was the message from you coaches inside of the huddle to try to rally your guys together and get back up there, which you ended up doing?
Yeah, offensive coaches, they kept their foot on the gas, man. On defense, we came out all week. Coach Griffin did a phenomenal job asking our guys, like, hey, we're going to win this game with physicality, and that's what they did. If you go back and you watch some of that tape from Friday night, man, there were some hits that – I wouldn't want to be playing against all you guys. Oscar had a phenomenal night. Ren had a phenomenal night. Defensive backs had a great night. Linebackers were flying downhill. Brian had a great night. Anthony had a great night. If you look across the board on defense, man, like, the whole message all week was, like, we are going to beat them with physicality. We're going to try to physically dominate them, and I believe our defense side of the football did. Offense, our plays are our plays, and we're going to keep coming after them, right? It may not be going our way early on, but our coaching staff never wavered from what they want to do with our guys. So, phenomenal job with them. And then when it came to the onside kick decision, we had 3 timeouts left, and, do we want to keep our foot on the gas? And that's what we're here to play the game for. So I asked our guys in the huddle, I was like, if they come out with a hands team, then we're going to try to put you back and pin them. Defense, you're going to keep coming up with a big stop. But if they come out with a regular kickoff return unit, we're going to go out there and try to go make a big play. And if you see the hit that Brian Rampillo laid on that kid during that play, it's something special, man. I think that really turned the tide for us. And then, offense had all the momentum coming back after we get that big recovery. Then they were able to strike. And I think defense, just fed off of that, knowing, like, hey, we're putting ourselves right now in a position to win this game. Let's go take it. And that's what they did, man. So, again, kudos to our guys.
Yeah, we always talk about the players here on this show for Riverside Brookfield, but we just touched on the coaches a little bit. Who is somebody on the coaching staff that you can point to, maybe not as your right-hand man, because you're going to say that for all your guys, but somebody that's really developed and grown along the coaching staff this season, whether it's their first year, they're a returning guy. What's somebody that you've been impressed with on your coaching staff this season?
I can't say enough great things about everybody on our coaching staff, man. It's hard to pinpoint one guy, but, having 2 new coordinators in here, changing, the philosophy on both offense and defense, it takes something special, man. To get, a group of guys to buy into your system, it's not easy, right? It's coming in here and, Coach Vojak, was here for us for a couple of years and then came back. So most of our varsity guys have never played in his system before, and obviously Coach Griffin, our defensive coordinator, is new to our program. So to be able to develop that relationship with our guys and that trust with our guys to know that, we're going to put you guys in a position to be successful. It really starts like what we do on offense and what we do on defense. It really starts with those two guys, and the energy that they bring every day, the commitment to our players that they bring every day is something that's very special. And I'm very blessed to have them on my staff, but I'm very blessed to have the staff that we have, across the board. Everybody plays a role in Friday night successes, and I can't say enough great things about our coaching staff that continues to show up and do their job correctly.
Yeah, so last Friday, the two receivers came to play, and they really won you guys the game there on the offensive side of the ball. They scored the points when they needed to, and Karras and DeJesus, 69 yards and a touchdown for Karras, and then 2 touchdowns as well for DeJesus. Yeah. Those two together, I mean, you know that they're tight. They're really close friends. Yep. How have you seen those two grow this year? I know they've been players for you, in your program for a while now, but what have you seen from them together this year that makes you feel, really good about them as players?
I mean, what's special about those two, right? Like, they're both transfer kids. Okay, they both came from private schools, and they transferred back to their hometown and wanted to compete for their high school. And they've done a great job, right? Last year was their first year in our program together, and seeing how much they've grown and how much they have bought into what we do here is something special, man. I think a lot of guys relate to them. Just the way that they attack the game, the way they attack their craft. Obviously, X is one of our captains, and it shows just the way that he carries himself, and kind of keeps things pretty light around it. If you've ever been able to be around X a little bit, man, he's a funny kid, and I think kids instantly relate to him. But they're both competitors, right? And that's what we want. We want guys that want to go out there and compete. And when the game's on the line, your playmakers need to show up, and they do, right? In big situations, they're the ones that we can kind of rally behind. But very proud of the way they've handled that, right? I think if we look back at the way they've grown as men and the way they've grown as players. Go back a couple of years ago, like, we don't know how any of our guys would respond to that adversity, right? Like, when we're chasing 10 with 4.5 left, a lot of times, it's easy for a team to kind of fold and be like, oh, well, the game's over. But, our guys stepped up, and, not just those two, but everybody really stepped up Friday night. But, those two especially, when we needed a score, they showed up and they came out with it. So, very proud of them.
Yeah, you robbed their homecoming night, right? Their homecoming night, so that's got to make it feel at least a little better as well. Yeah. That'll do it for the first segment here as we recap. The Bulldogs win to stay undefeated against Glenbard South. After our commercials, we're going to head over to Colin Cimino to talk more about the fiery receiving corps. But first, here's a word from our sponsors.
Did just touch on them, Xavier, Jaden, and Nico. They both had big games last Friday against Glenbard South, but we're going to touch a little bit into their stats on the season. Xavier, 13 receptions, 309 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Jaden Karras, 14 receptions, 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And Nico doing a little bit of both on the run game and the pass game. 14 carries, 103 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown with 17 receptions, 235 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. And, Coach, your receiving group has been very productive this season. What do you feel has been the biggest factor in their success so far?
I think it's their work ethic, right? Like, if you kind of look at what they do, right? We have X, that's going to be Division I lacrosse player. Jay, who last year missed the back half of the season with mono, and then Nico, who's a multi-sport athlete that goes out there and competes his butts off in whatever it is that he's doing, right? So I think just their desire to want to be great at what it is that they do is something that's very special, right? Like, the work ethic that they bring. So whether X is out there competing on the lacrosse field, football field, whatever, like, he brings a competitive fire that guys instantly relate to, right? Nico, same thing. Like, the way he competes on the baseball field, the way he competes on the football field, like, that's just a guy that shows up every day ready to work. And Jay, right, who football is kind of his main deal. I mean, you see kind of a guy that missed the back half of the season that, probably had a little bit left in the tank that wanted to prove to everybody, like, what he was doing. I mean, if you look at, his workout schedule in the offseason, whether it was, going out competing in 7-on-7 tournaments, then showing up to hustle, like, late at night. I mean, I would drive past there and, like, you see him working out there by himself in the middle of the night. Then the way that they all led the weight room throughout the offseason, Nico showing up whenever he could during baseball season, X showing up whenever he could during lacrosse season. Like, I think those 3 guys in particular, like, just the way they attack their craft and the way they attack and lead this group, just through their work ethic, is something that's extremely special.
Yeah, definitely. And as a guy that goes to hustle myself, I see Jay in there a lot. How would you evaluate the chemistry that's developed between your quarterbacks and the receivers as the season has progressed?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, man. Like, the way that they, most of our receivers don't play defense, right? And obviously our 2 quarterbacks, they're more primarily offensive guys. So when we're doing defensive work, those guys are always working with our offensive staff, still trying to build up, like, timing on their routes, where they want this put, where they want that put. And I think it's just, the way that group's coming together, showing up on the football field, right? Like, I think, too, the skill set that our guys have, you could throw the ball up there, man, and you I think you got a pretty good chance that one of our guys is coming down with it. So I think, just the way that they all bond, the way that they all work together, the amount of time that they spend together, whether it's in meetings, on the field, off-season stuff, I just think it's something that's very special. And, we're very blessed to have those guys and, want to keep seeing them put that production out on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen the chemistry really pick up these last couple weeks, especially with Bubba and X. As they said with Pat Mahomes, Tyreek's down there somewhere. That's kind of what we've seen the last couple weeks.
Right.
But from a coaching perspective, what specific skills or qualities have the receivers shown that have really elevated the offense?
I mean, it's tough to teach speed or coach speed, right? And I think we got two guys on the outside that, breakaway speed. It's hard to find two guys that are better than that. So I think, whoever we have at quarterback just knows, throw that ball up there. And I think if we leave it out there for those guys, they're going to chase it down. And then Nico's got just this shiftiness and quickness to him that, whether you throw it to him down the flat, I think it was 2 weeks ago they took that 54-yarder to the house just on a simple out route and was able to take that thing and make people miss and cut. So, I mean, they all got great speed. They all got great elusiveness. They all, just are natural, carries of the football. That I think really separates those guys. But, it's also what they do without the football, which is great, right? I think oftentimes you think of receivers, guys who are kind of prima donnas that only care about scoring touchdowns, but the way that they really dive into their craft as blockers and working on the outside allows us to set up more in the run game, allows the defenders then too, they got to be able to respect the fact that if they're going to come out there and stock block for a minute, they may be able to take that thing over the top. So, it's what they're doing without the ball. It's what they do with the ball. It's just an extremely special group. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we're going to head into another word from our sponsors, and then we're going to kick it right back over to Aiden to talk about their upcoming matchup against Elmwood Park. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back, guys, to the Playbook. We're going to head into our final segment here, looking ahead into this week's matchup, tomorrow's matchup against Elmwood Park at home. And, Coach, to cut to the chase, I know you're not going to like to hear this. This team is not very good. They're 0-6 on the year.
I would say that. Coming
off a 61-6 loss against West Chicago. I mean, they've scored 32 points all season. You guys have them at home this week, and it seems like everything is set to go your way this Friday. But how do you make sure that your players aren't looking past this matchup and it's, so that, they're not treating this as something that, it'll be gifted a win?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this on this show multiple times, right? That's 1-0 every week. So we don't care who we line up against. We don't care who our opponent is. We come out and we play our style of football from start to finish, right? So it's starting fast, it's finishing strong. It's making sure everybody throughout the week is dialed in. So we ramp up the competition. I think we've been harder on our guys this week than we ever have been because, again, we can't take anybody lightly. I think, in the past, when we've looked at an opponent who we view as, inferior to us, sometimes we like to play down. And our brand of football, we're heading into, the final 3 games of our season, then, heading into the playoffs. We don't care who you're lining up with. We're playing our style of football. Yep. So the standard's our standard. What we do on offense, what we do on defense, what we do on special teams. We're not wavering that at all. If not, we're trying to kick it up a notch because, we got to get ready to play, the last 3 games of our season. We got to get ready to play playoff football. So we aren't looking to beyond anybody else. We know that we got Elmwood Park coming in here. They got a lot of great athletes on that field. Obviously the record doesn't dictate necessarily, what they bring to the table, but we got to play our style of football. If we do that, good things could happen. But if we waver at all, we let these teams stick around a little bit. They could be dangerous. So we got to make sure that we play our brand.
Yeah, definitely not totally discrediting the Tigers there. Every team has a couple of players that you got to look out for on film heading into the week. So what guys, offense or defense, on your roster have you found that you've been implementing more as the season goes on, whether it's some underclassmen or even getting some seniors in there that maybe haven't seen the field as much? Who are some of those guys, and maybe could they see some more time out there this week if you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our game plan's our game plan. We're gonna try to get everybody as much playing time as possible. But I think if we're talking about guys who have really shown their value to the team, I mean, Jaden Barrett's done a phenomenal job for us, and he's played in every game so far. He's played a linebacker, but we've also been trying him out now at defensive end a little bit, and what he can bring, just the style of football that he brings, and the tenacity and the energy and the knowledge of the game that he brings to our team, has been phenomenal. So, very proud of what Jaden's done this entire season. Want to keep finding ways to get him out on the football field. Joey Zimmerman's done a phenomenal job for us all year. A guy that is our first-year player in our program. Came out, started playing a little safety for us. He's done a great job. Can't wait to see what he does Friday night. I mean, again, just across the board, every single guy on our roster has worked extremely hard to get to this point. And, we're not looking ahead of anybody, but, we want to make sure that we find opportunities for them to get out there and showcase their talents to everybody and what we've seen so far this season. And hopefully Friday night's a good way to prove to everybody what they've been doing.
Yeah, and I feel like I've asked this next question, already earlier in the year. But to wrap things up here, now that you're 6-0 now and you're still undefeated,
Yeah.
What makes this team different, Coach? Because there's no doubt that you've seemingly enjoyed your time here as coach.
Yeah. Love it.
However long you've been here for the program, but why is this year in particular clicking on all cylinders seemingly?
It's the way they've come together, man. I mean, it was funny. I got following Friday night's game, there was a reporter that came up and asked, like, just out of the blue, came up and goes, "I've never seen a team as close and tight knit
Really?
as this group right here." Like, from an outside perspective, to be able to see that and acknowledge that is something extremely special. That it's tangible, right? Like, people can feel how tight this group is together. They have battled extremely hard all offseason. I think that's really where it started, was like the commitment to the weight room this year has been spectacular. The commitment to what they did in the summer was spectacular, and I think it's just the fruits of our labor that are showing up right now. And as long as they continue to stick together, as long as they continue to work for each other and sacrifice for each other, great things could happen for this team. So I can't say enough great things about how they've kind of come together and the leaders, the way they came together. It's been a phenomenal group, and want to keep see this thing rolling.
Yeah, for sure. That'll do it here for the Playbook, the 6th edition now of the Playbook, as the Bulldogs will take on the Elmwood Park Tigers tomorrow night at home. Be there if you can. I'm Aiden Schoeff, Colin Cimino here at RBTV. Thanks, Coach, again for joining us for the 6th edition of the Playbook. Stay tuned for tomorrow night's game against the Elmwood Park Tigers. Thanks, guys.